What if I told you that 30 days of journaling could take me from severe anxiety and depression all the way down to minimal levels? That sounds unbelievable, and I wouldn't have believed it either, but I have the data to prove it. That's why I'm going to show you exactly what happened when I put journaling to the test. I didn't stumble into this. I've spent over 3 years testing and refining journaling. I started with the basics, dumping my thoughts into a page, except that after a while, it wasn't doing much for me. So I dove into psychology research. I experimented with methods, and I eventually discovered something called cognitive distortion journaling. And that's when everything clicked. My name is Eric Eden. I'm a statistician and scientist with published research papers and awards in my field. I work in quantitative risk for the California state government, solving complex problems with math and science every day. But instead of using those tools at work, I turned them inward, and I decided to use data and analysis to understand my own mind. In this video, I'm going to show you not just what happened during my 30-day challenge, but also the math, the science, and the transformation that changed how I see myself. I uncovered the hidden story behind my own anxiety, and I learned how to reframe anger. I've lived with anxiety and depression for most of my life, and for years it was manageable. However, during my PhD, everything collapsed. I had a complete nervous breakdown, and I had to quit. See, the truth is, my story of struggles started long before that. I was abused at the age of 3. By 4, I began losing my hearing, and by 7, I had already endured 4 major ear operations. By 25, after 8 surgeries, I could finally hear almost completely in one ear and 50% in the other. And then 2 years ago, I discovered I had been living with celiac disease and didn't know it. This is a disease that causes body inflammation when eating gluten. And for me, it caused brain inflammation. So cutting gluten eased my anxiety and it helped me process emotions more clearly. But now if I eat gluten, I experience seizure-like shaking for hours and days of paranoia, a condition called gluten psychosis. From all of this, I've carried a lifelong sense of being misunderstood, dismissed as overly sensitive, and left feeling worthless. That's why before doing this journaling challenge, I wasn't just trying to manage anxiety. I was trying to rebuild myself from the ground up. I finally got good help, and one of the tools my therapist suggested was journaling. It gave me a way to express emotions I couldn't put into words, and at first it really helped. But as I continued doing basic journaling, I was coming to an emotional standstill. That's why I needed a new angle. I started tracking my thoughts and emotions deliberately, even scoring them with clinical tools and tests like the Hamilton Anxiety, Beck Depression, PHQ-9, and GAD-7. And that's when I discovered cognitive distortion journaling, the practice of pulling out distorted thoughts like catastrophizing, all or nothing thinking, or emotional reasoning, and then challenging them directly. So I built a plan. For 30 days, I would journal every single day. I would rate my anxiety and depression. I would log my emotions before and after each entry, and analyze everything with the same tools I used as a statistician: scatter plots, bar and density plots, and even principal component analysis, to see if journaling could really change my mental state and how to maximize my progress. The first week was hard, and as soon as I committed to journaling every day, everything poured out. Fear, anger, grief, guilt. It felt like opening a floodgate, and I was terrified.
I'm releasing it, and I'm releasing all these emotions that have been built up inside of me since I was a little kid. And I'm having like major breakdown, but it's good.
The first thing I noticed was fear of failure. My entries would say, I can't do this, or if I try, I will fail. Even journaling itself felt scary, like facing my emotions head on was too much. Except that fear didn't stay on the page, it leaked everywhere. I avoided writing, I grabbed ice cream, I hid away from people, and I numbed myself with TV. Anger was another theme. Some of the anger was at myself for hiding from journaling, or eating, or not sleeping. Perfectionism. But a lot of that anger was at others when I felt disrespected or manipulated. This is pain tied directly to memories of childhood abuse, trauma, and neglect. Even so, I kept writing, and I discovered this anger was mostly just fear and greed. From this, I figured out journaling exposed distortions that I've never seen so clearly. Personalization, it's all my fault. Labeling, I am lazy, I am weak. And emotional reasoning, I am angry, so everything must be wrong. On paper, I could finally see those thoughts as what they were. Not the truth, but distortions. By week 2, the excitement faded. And instead of feeling lighter, journaling made me feel heavier. Perfectionism took over, screaming, if I'm not productive, I don't matter. At the same time, I longed for belonging with my wife, my child, my family, but constantly felt misunderstood. But journaling showed me what was really happening. I was tying my self-worth to achievements and productivity.
For some reason, I think it's this feeling that I'm gonna fail.
And that distortion was feeding my shame. I also wrote a lot about belonging. I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. Even my dreams. There was one I felt like I was fighting 1,000 rattlesnakes to protect my family. And this revealed my desperate need to belong, to protect others, and to have a place. However, as I looked closer, I realized I was trapped in distortions again. Mind-reading, assuming others didn't understand me. And emotional reasoning, I feel like I don't belong, so I must not belong. For that reason, journaling became a reminder that belonging was possible. It helped me recall real times in my life where I truly felt like I connected. Times in high school and college, family vacations, old jobs. Those memories gave me proof that connection isn't a dream. It's something I've lived before and I can live again. By week 3, something shifted, and for the first time I didn't see myself with my flaws. I started noticing my strengths. I wrote, I'm the chef of the family. I graduated as the #1 student in my university. I have a family. I am loved. But this is different than the years of thinking I've had. And it started coming together that I had proof in my own value.
Like, it's been a long time, but I am starting to be really happy.
Which means journaling became more than a way to uncover distortions. It became a way to remind myself of my worth. Of course, shame was still there. About work, money, old memories, and I noticed my coping behaviors. And went in this order: ice cream, wine, potato chips. I don't know why, just every time. But this time I didn't judge myself for it. From this, I could finally see the pattern. I felt an emotion like shame, and then I reached for comfort. For the first time, I was able to separate the emotion from the coping behavior. Instead of saying, I'm weak, I could say, I felt shame, and then I ate. And that small reframe gave me more compassion for myself. By week 4, something felt different, and I realized I wasn't writing about pain anymore. I was writing about success, love, and what self-worth meant to me.
Like, I can feel it in my body too. Like, my gut isn't so tight. My shoulders are more relaxed. I have more energy. I'm just blown away that just journaling can do so much like this.
In the past, success meant burning out, working until exhaustion, chasing money, sacrificing everything. Yet through journaling, a new definition started to take shape. Success meant being authentic, expressing gratitude, living with my family, and living with myself. So instead of chasing external validation, I began feeling pride in choosing internal fulfillment. For the first time, I was proud of myself for just being myself. However, journaling also revealed how often I hiding from my family, from my responsibilities, even from rest. So much of my life had been shaped by trying to be accepted instead of just being myself. As a result, I uncovered the core struggle, the pull between pleasing others to feel worthy and living my authentic self. And for the first time, I knew which side I wanted to choose. Before this challenge, my life felt completely ruled by anxiety and depressions. My scores on clinical skills were near max. I felt worthless, misunderstood, and stuck. Every mistake felt like proof I was a failure. Decades of trauma from childhood abuse, surgery, and health issues left me feeling like I would never be enough. Despite this, after 30 days of journaling, I found myself standing in a different place. Now I see myself as capable. I see being authentic, expressing gratitude and resilience. I'm not perfect, but I'm real. And for the first time, that's enough. Shame still surfaces. Memories of my parents correcting everything I did. Guilt about resting or doing things for myself. Shame tied to PTSD and coping behaviors. Yet instead of drowning in it, I started naming it, writing it down, and letting it go. So shame stopped defining me. It became something I could move through. Now there are other graphs that I created. When I analyzed the scatter plot matrix, I noticed something fascinating. On average, each journal entry only took me about 5 to 8 minutes. Just one entry was enough to make a noticeable impact. The data show that in a single session, my anxiety levels dropped by about 30%. My anger decreased by as much as 50%, and at the same time, my happiness, energy, and feelings of love increased by about 20%. But the data revealed something deeper. Whenever anger went up, my ability to love went down, and the two were somewhat inversely related. And research backs this up. Anger and love activate competing emotional states. So when anger dominates, it blocks warmth and connection. So I knew I needed another tool. I added gratitude journaling to my practice. Doing this after journaling, or when I felt really angry, helped me reframe my anger and open the door to love and connection. And I noticed I was able to be more empathetic, see how special my family is, and how special I am. For most of my life, I believed I was broken, and I carried that belief like it was true. However, 30 days of journaling taught me something very different. Thoughts aren't fact, my scars don't define me, and my story can be rewritten. Sometimes the smallest habit, just a few minutes a day, can become the most powerful tool for change. So now, can I say that journaling will rewire my brain for 30 days? Yes. For me, not perfectly, but enough to change how I live my life.